Hi, welcome for RTL online trainings. In this session, I'm going to explain you how to execute complete procurement and payables, means procure to pay cycle. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about. So during this explanation, I'm going to use these two usernames. One is Kelvin Roth is the username. It's a procurement manager. So you can go for raise all procurement documents. It's a supplier contact. Communicate with the supplier. To communicate with the supplier. First, we'll log in with the Kelvin Roth user. Before that, when we talk about procurement module, we will be having first requisition. So what is requisition? Requisition is a document which will be raised by an employee whenever employee required some goods or some service or amount. Once the requisition is approved, then RFQ will be created. Stands for request for quotation. We will send this RFQ to suppliers. Once we send this RFQ to the suppliers, suppliers will be responding. That is what we call it as a quotation. So quotation is nothing but a document which we will receive from suppliers. After receiving the quotations, the organization will analyze which one is better, and that quote analysis happened. After that, the organization will go for create a purchase order. Purchase order is nothing but a legal document we are going to give to supplier. We are going to give it to the supplier. Once the order is given, supplier will supply the goods to our inventory. So we have to receive the goods in the inventory. Once we receive the goods in the inventory, then we have to go for create invoice for the supplier. We will be receiving the invoice from supplier because when supplier supply the goods, obviously he will send the invoice also. So we are going to receive the invoices from suppliers through email or through fax or through document, fax or courier. Once we receive that, we are going to create an invoice in our system. Once invoice is created, it should be validated. After that, it should be accounted. Before that, need approval also. Sorry, we need to go for approval. And then we have to go for account. And then we have to transfer these accounts to GL. That's what we have to perform. Once invoice is approved and accounted, then the next step is you have to make the payment. We have to make the payment to supplier. We have to issue the cash or check or DD or EFT or any wire transfer. Any of this payment method we'll be using, and we are going to make the payment to the supplier. When you are doing the payment, we are also creating accounting. Once the accounts are done, again we have to transfer these accounts to general ledger. And finally, we will go for verify these accounts in general ledger and go for post. Of course, it will be posted automatically. It will be posted automatically. This is what the cycle I'm going to show it now. So I'm going to use US1. I'm going to use US1 legal entity. I'm sorry, there was some disturbance. And US1 business unit, US primary ledger. So we are going to use this organization structure. Okay. So first log in into the applications. A procurement manager is going to log in. Kelvin Roth is an employee. He is a procurement agent and also is a procurement manager. Okay. And he's going to create a requisition first. Go to procurement, purchase requisitions. He has got the roles procurement requesting, advanced procurement requester, and procurement manager, and also the inventory related receipts we have. That's what the reason he's going to get all the options over here. Catalog manager, negotiations, we got everything. Now what I'm trying to do is first I'm going to create a requisition. Let's go for create purchase requisition here. And once we log in, let's go to the requisitions environment, enter requisition line. So this requisition line is created line information. Actual requisition document will have 3 levels: headers, lines, and distributions. But header will be automatically created because header level just requisition number and requisitioning business unit, total amount will be displayed, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to enter the line information. We can add multiple lines also. Let me take this item. AS85000. This is the item we are trying to raise the requisition. Before we go for requisitions creating, first we have to check the approvals. Better check the approvals. You have the approval or not. Because approvals is again big concept. Let me cross check what approvals is there. If you want to check the approvals, you must have the access to the FSM. Only FSM environment means implementation users can perform this activity. Let's log into the applications here. SCM.cm. Login here. I'm going to cross check both requisition as well as the purchase order approvals. What is the status? Is it auto approval or it requires any management approval, job approval? Let me go for make it as auto approval. Go to approval management here and requisition approvals. Because approvals is a big concept. We'll be having detailed sessions about the approvals. Now header hierarchy is enabled. Edit rules. And let me disable some other rules, whatever we have. I'm going to create a new requisition approval here. I have disabled the existing one. I'm creating a new approvals. I'm mentioning that when the requisition is created for my business unit, requisition business unit. Search like this here. Requisitioning business unit. If the requisitioning business unit is equal to US1 business unit, I'm going to set auto approval. I'm going to set up auto approval here. Press OK. Add action. Approval automatic. Rejected or approval it is asking. Let's go for approval. That's it. How we have configured requisition approval is automatic, and I'm going to deploy it. Now click done button here. Now requisition approval we configured for auto approval. Let me check the purchase order document approvals. Again, it's there, terms approval serial, only one is enabled, that's fine. Go to edit rules and multiple rules as configured. Of course, we can configure multiple rules as per the requirement that we will be discussing in our approval section detailed. Now we are just going ahead with the auto approval. Let me create RTL purchase order approval. Let's go for add the condition. I'm trying to configure that if we create any purchase order, it should go for automatic approval. So I'm checking this document header level because purchase order business unit means procurement BU will be mentioned at header level. Procurement BU will be mentioned at header level. And if it is for US1 business unit, will be mentioning here. So if we create purchase order in US1 business unit, it's automatically approved. That's it. So we need to go cross check this before we go for run the cycle for the procurement. Okay, let me log out. And I'm going to log in with as procurement manager. First, we are going to create a requisition, right? This is what we are going to do it now. First, requisition will be created. Go to navigator, procurement, purchase requisitions. More tasks, enter requisition line. Now select this item here is 85000. I'm putting it as quantity, let's say $100 quantity I'm going to provide. So as we discussed, the requisition is a document. It's prepared by an employee whenever the goods are required, and we'll be mentioning the price here. Okay. And we want to purchase this item from suppliers. So source type is supplier and supplier name, advanced corporation. That's what supplier name I'm using. Supplier site, see, supplier contact. This for supplier also we will be having logins, right? That's what I have specified. This supplier also can log in and he can check what are the requirements he has received, and he can also give the reply. That we are going to see. We call it as a supplier portal. Okay, we are going to call it as a supplier portal. Now let's go for give this delivery details and other information. That's fine. Add to cart. Now we are going to create add to cart here. Now the requisition is created and the cart is going to have one line. Click review button. Now this is our requisition number 204151. Let me maintain all these numbers in Excel sheet so that we can easily track. Requisition number is this. Next. Now we can cross check the approvals from here. Manage approvals. If we go for manage approvals, we can find the information here. We can find that here application development framework, application identity for procurement. It's nothing but it's auto approval. Let's submit this document for approval and this document will be automatically approved. After submitting, where do we search whether it has been approved or not? We can find generally the status here, recent requisitions, whatever we have created, we can find here. And if you want to search, go to manage requisitions here. Go to manage requisitions here. And you can search with your requisition number, or you want to search the requisitions which are created by the current user. Now I'm going to give the requisition number and search. Now we can find the requisition still pending approval. It takes a couple of minutes time. We need to wait, search here. We can see that the requisition document has been approved. So it means the management has decided to purchase this item from the suppliers. Okay. Now, after the requirement is approved, then we will send this requirement to the suppliers. That is called RFQ. RFQ stands for request for quotation. We are requesting the quotation from the suppliers. We are requesting the quotation from the suppliers. Okay. So then we have to send what exactly we are required. That's what we call it as a RFQ and quotations. We call it as negotiations. This, if this option is required here, which role is supposed to be added for our user? Category manager. Category manager is the role name, and you are supposed to assign the data access for your business unit. Go to negotiations. Go to negotiations. This all we call it as a infolates or dashboards. By using OTBI tool, technical developers will develop and attach here. This is for easy navigation and also graphical display to identify the status of our documents. Actual menu option will be there. Whatever options we have here, the same options we will find over here for shortcut access. Now I'm going to create a negotiation. These two documents, we call it as a negotiations, RFQ and quotation. We are sending requirement to the supplier, then supplier is replying the quotation. We are trying to negotiate between the supplier and buyer, right? So now we are trying to create a RFQ. Let's go for create RFQ document here. We can define our own negotiation styles and we can specify the standard template. Means whatever the negotiation type or display you want, you can go for display. So those all we'll be discussing later. I'm just putting here RTL Technologies requirement document, requirement for quotation, request for quotation. We are requesting RFQ document number. Yeah, if I want to insert the RFQ numbers, can be inserted from here. Let's say we would like to display the RFQ number, we can insert from here. Negotiation number. Next button. So we are mentioning the actual information in the line level. Here I am mentioning just RTL RFQ title. And we are mentioning that the requirement should be closed end of this month, June 30. The requirement should be closed. And what exactly you need? We need some items. How many items? 100, right? So the requirement we are going to fulfill in the lines. Go to the lines here. We have to specify the item name, quantity, expected price. This all details we have to mention. And what is the current price? This. What is the item name? Is the item name, right? Select item name. How much quantity? 100. What is the current price? Let's say current price is $100. What is the starting price? 98. Target 97 we are expecting from the supplier. Then supplier will reply whether he is okay to give this price or not. Any terms and conditions, if we want to mention to the supplier, we can specify contract terms and conditions. And then here we will list out the supplier details. We can send this requirement, means RFQ, to either one supplier or for multiple suppliers. I'm going to specify the supplier names here. So we are going to choose advanced corporation supplier here. Otherwise, we can select here also. Advanced corporation, supplier name, supplier site, supplier contact person. Who is the contact person? That's why I took this username and password also I got, so that supplier can log in and check. And we are going to send this RFQ to the supplier. Nothing but publish. We don't have any approvals for RFQ and quotation because these two are just negotiation documents. It is just for communicating with the supplier, and buyer also will try to do some negotiation and finalize this. That's why we don't find anything approval option here. Just we'll try to publish. This is your RFQ number 31791. So we created RFQ. RFQ number is this. Next, once the requirement is sent to the supplier, now supplier is going to log in. For suppliers also, we will give the logins. You might have seen, for example, in IT companies, top companies, if nowadays almost other companies also providing that feature. When you apply for a job, they'll ask you to register all your details in their portal, and they'll give you the credentials also. They'll give username and password. For example, you apply for some MNC company, they will give you the username and password also. You are supposed to log in like this, and then you have to go for check. Same thing here in Fusion applications, we have a small module called Supplier Portal. So whenever we give some document to the supplier, supplier can log in like this, and he can go to Supplier Portal and go to Supplier Portal option here. Here supplier can check what are the orders they have received, what are the agreements they have with our company, what are the channel programs they have attended, how about the shipment information, contracts with our company, invoices and payments with our company, negotiations. Like this all they can find. Now we have sent RFQ. Where is that here? He can verify that here. Agreements opened, orders changed or cancelled, receipts. This is all information we are going to find here. Supplier can check the notification also. Let's see. Still not received. It takes a couple of minutes time, not more than that. So what we have done, we have sent RFQ to the supplier. Now supplier has logged into the application, is going to cross check whether he has received the RFQ or not. Request for quotation. View active negotiations. Here also we can search. Now still not received. What is our RFQ number? 31791. Sometimes it will be 31791. Now we can find that here, the requisition RFQ, sorry. RFQ we have received from the supplier. They can view in the PDF format also. If they want to know what exactly the required for the company, supplier will come to know here. And now supplier can go for give the response. He can go for provide the response, create response here. Now supplier is going to give the response. We call it as a quotation. We call it as quotation. So what is quotation? Quotation is a document which will be prepared by the suppliers, will be sent to our buyer. We are going to receive this quotation from the supplier. If we have sent the requirement for 10 members, maybe out of 10 people, only 5 people might have responded. So we'll receive those 5 quotations. Okay. So supplier is telling this quotation is valid till so and so date and is going to give the quotation details. We expected only one item, 100 quantity, and we also given what's the price we expecting. Now let's say is okay to deliver for $95. So it's giving good discount for us. Let's go for next. And this is our quotation number, 66131 is the quotation number, right? Now, quotation document is created by the supplier, and we are going to receive this quotation. We are going to receive this particular quotation. So this is our quotation number. So how the quotation will be prepared by the supplier? He will log into the Fusion applications, but supplier cannot access other options. He will not be able to do setups or security console. If you look at, see, there is no navigator menu at all. He can just access only supplier portal. He can find the information, whatever we have sent to him. Now, supplier is going to give the response. That is what we call it as a quotation. We have already received that. Let's go back to our buyer login. Now, buyer is going to log in and is going to verify the quotation is valid or not. This is our quotation number. Go to navigator. Now buyer is going to verify. Go to negotiations. Here only we'll create RFQ. Just now we have done. Now we are going to cross check. Manage negotiations. We are trying to search for the quotation, whatever we have received from the supplier. This is the quotation which we have received. We'll also receive a notification for that. See, negotiation 3179 is open for responding. Means we have sent RFQ to supplier. Now we are waiting for quotation from the supplier here. Let's see. Or we can search with RFQ number also. What is the RFQ number? 31791. 31791. Search. Once we search, here we can see that how many responses we have received from the suppliers. Only one response we have received from the supplier. Means one quotation we have received from the supplier. Okay. So then the organization will do the quotation analysis. The organization will do quotation analysis. That is basically manual process. The management will sit and they manually they'll go for analyze which one is better for the current situation, and they'll try to give the order to that supplier. So once the quotation is done, they'll try to give the purchase order to that supplier. So creating the PO is a legal document. We are going to give it the supplier. Now what we are trying to do is we are going to create a purchase order. Okay. So purchase order, we are going to enter at 4 levels: headers, lines, shipments, and distributions. If you want to convert your requisition as a purchase order also, we can do it. We'll see it in the next session. Now I'm going to create a purchase order here. Let's go for purchase orders here. Once we go for purchase orders, go to task list here, create order. Now here we are trying to create a purchase order. So we have selected business unit. Now here we are going to select the supplier. For which supplier we are going to give this purchase order: Advanced Corporation, and supplier site and contact person. Supplier name, supplier site name, and contact. Create the purchase order. This is all information we are entering at header level. Header level will be mentioning mainly business unit, and this is our PO number, purchase order number. Supplier, supplier site, bill to location, ship to, what is purchase order amount, currency. These all details will be mentioned at header level. And now line level, we are going to specify what are the items we are going to give the order. Item name, quantity, price, delivery details. This is all we are going to give. So select the item name. Doing price $100. Let's say is okay for 96, right? 96. Quantity 100. And go for schedules, nothing but a shipment. All 100 items on the same location or different locations. That's what we are going to specify. We are giving this order to our inventory warehouse called 001. So we are giving this order to the inventory called 001. So what we have to do is, whenever you are receiving the goods from the supplier, you have to choose the inventory organization called 001. Maybe your requirement is, I want to receive 70 items in 001, 30 items in 002. Then you can create multiple schedules. Okay. Look into that later. Now I'm going for 100. Go to distributions, nothing but accounting information we'll find here. In distributions, we are going to find accounting information. Means how this amount will be distributed to the different account, different departments, and different products. In case if the segment, product segment is there, that product segments will find. So here information is entered how many levels? 4 levels. What are that? Header, lines, shipments or schedules, and distributions. Now save this purchase order. This is our PO number. Take this purchase order number, and then we will go for capture this purchase order number here. Verify the PO approval here. Go to manage approvals. And manage approvals we can find here. Go to approvals, you will come to know, is it management hierarchy or job role approval or multiple approval or automatic. Before starting this session, we have configured auto approval, right? For both documents. Now we can find its auto approve. Go for submit. Now purchase order has created and submitted for approval. Now we are waiting for the approval status. So once the purchase order is submitted, how to find the PO has been approved or not? Yeah, now we got some error message. You must enter either requested date or a promised date for planned items. Okay, so this error we will be getting because in the line level, or shipment level, we have not specified material need by date. Go to schedules, both are mandatory. Yes. Requested delivery date, promise to delivery. So we are requesting the goods on 29th June, but supplier is ready to supply on 28th itself. Now go for submit. Let's search for the PO number here. Copy this purchase order number. Manage orders. Order number. Still the purchase order number is pending approval. It's not at open, means not at approved. Now it is open. It means your purchase order has been approved successfully. And we can find the cycle here. Purchase order cycle. Cycle in the sense, for this purchase order, you have given the order. How about shipping? How many goods are shipped? How many goods are received? How many goods are delivered into your inventory? Have you created an invoice? What is the invoice? This is your purchase order number. In case if there are any in-transit shipments, we'll find that here. And what are the receipts and invoices? After the purchase order is approved, now we are going to create a receipt. We are going to create receipt. That is what next document. We created purchase order and we have sent this to the supplier. Now we are going to receive the goods into the inventory. If you want to receive these goods into the inventory, you must have the access to the receipts inventory. Okay, so here is an option. My receipts is there, means whatever the receipts you are supposed to receive into your inventory, or we can go for receive this requirement, manage receipts. If there is another employee is going to receive, that employee should log in. Let me log in with the inventory user. I'm going to log in with another user, supply chain management. This guy is inventory. See, it's going to receive the goods into inventory. Let me reset the password for that user. Now inventory user is going to log in and receive these items into the inventory called 001. That's the inventory, right? So let's go to navigator here. Supply chain execution, inventory management. Before we receive the items into inventory, let's check this item quantity. Manage item quantities. Which inventory you want to check? 001 inventory. How many items are there? Because after receiving, quantity should be increased, right? So before received, I'm going to check the item quantities. What is the item name? AS85000. That's the name of the item. In 001 inventory organization, there are 20 items. Now we are going to receive 100 items from the supplier. Go to receive. Receipts. Receive expected shipments. What is your purchase order number? Purchase order number, this, right? Take this. Search. Then we are going to receive this goods into our inventory. How much quantity? 100 items. If you are going to receive into this inventory, you want to specify sub-inventory name. Also, we can mention here so-and-so sub-inventory and go for create receipt. Submit. Now we have received the goods into inventory. If it is direct delivery, then we can find 55128. That's the receipt number. If it is direct delivery, we'll find those goods directly in our inventory. Go to our inventory organization, manage item quantities, select your item name. See, earlier 20 items are there. Now 100 items we have received into the inventory 001 and also sub-inventory stores. This. And we can find now the item order, whatever the order, purchase order is there, that we can find the received status as done. And we'll also find the receipt. Let's log in with our procurement agent and is going to check. Procurement. We'll see purchase order cycle. Go to navigator and go for procurement, purchase orders. Go to task list here, manage orders. And you want to know what are the POs are created by the current user, we can get it from here. And if you would like to search with some other buyers also, we can search. Now we got PO here and we just need cycle, right? Go to cycle. It's closed for receiving, means we have received this goods. See, ordered and received, delivered into inventory. Directly items are there. Now we can find receipt number also, 55128. Now we will be receiving the invoice also from the supplier, because supplier has supplied the goods to our inventory, right? Then obviously we'll send the invoice. We are supposed to make the payment. Go to navigator. And now we are going for a procurement cycle is done. Requisition is raised. RFQ we have sent. We received quotation. We given the order to supplier. Then we received from suppliers, right? And this is just a dashboard, procurement dashboard. And you can have some agreements with your suppliers also. When you are creating the items, you can group the items under particular category our catalog. Now we are trying to make the invoice. Go to invoices. We are going to create an invoice here. We can find some recent invoices, whatever created last 24 hours. This is the invoice is created, somebody for $1,000. Not a problem. We are creating the invoice for purchase order. What is our PO number? This is our purchase order number. Select your PO number. System retrieves automatically business unit, supplier, site, legal entity, everything. We have to just mention this amount. Let's say 10,500. And we are mentioning RTL underscore PO underscore invoice. That's the invoice number. You can go for match your purchase order with invoice and retrieve the information. Select this. Okay. Now save this invoice. So once the invoice is created, then we have to validate. If approval is there, we have to approve, then account and transfer to GM. That's what we have to do it. Right now, I'm going for validate first. Validate the invoice. Now, it's what system is telling you cannot validate invoice because it needs revalidation. There is some problem in your invoice. Whatever the information you have entered in the invoice, which is not valid. That's why your invoice on hold due to two reasons. One is line level amount variance is there, and that's the invoice hold. We can find what is the reason why this invoice is not on hold. Total of your invoice line amount does not equal to the invoice header amount. That's the issue. So we need to rectify it. So there is some tax. Let me remove that tax here. I'm making the taxes are 0. Without taxes, we are going to make the payment to the supplier. So I'm going to make that taxes 0. Header level also I'm putting 9,600 is the invoice amount. Save the invoice. Let's go for validate the invoice again. Now the invoice is validated, and now you don't have permission for approval, and you don't have permission for create accounts and transfer to GL. You in the sense current user. This Kelvin Roth does not have that. We need to perform. Let me just add that role also. Takes just a couple of minutes time for adding the roles as well as the data access. So we have to go to security console, first add the role, which is required for us for invoice validations, and for making the payments, we need accounts payable roles. Users, search for the user. Accounts payable manager. Accounts payable supervisor. Accounts payable specialist. When you want to check in general ledger module, we can verify general accountant and GL. Anyway, we'll transfer to that. Once the roles are assigned, then we have to assign the data access to the user, right? Let's go to setup and maintenance. I'm giving the data access for users. You can go to either procurement or financials, any work area, functional area. We can provide data access for users. Now I'm going to select the username here. Accounts payable manager, business unit. Using US1 business unit here. Let me go for do the same data access for the remaining roles here. After completion of data access assignment, we must run the LDAP process here. Go to initial users and run this user and role synchronization process here. Now the procurement manager is going to log in. Now he can validate our invoice. Go to payables. See, earlier only invoices was there, but now we got payments option also. In invoices also, earlier this employee was able to perform this. Now this is what the invoice, incomplete one and complete one invoice we have. This I'm trying to modify it. Validate. The invoice is done. Approval is not required. If needed approval, we can do it. If I go to validate it, it will show that approval is required. Okay, so in accounts payables module, they mentioned that approval is mandatory. Okay, we'll go with force approval. Let's see force approval is enabled or not. Yes, it seems force approval is enabled. Manually we have approved. Then accounts, we are going to generate accounts and transfer to judge. If you want to generate the accounts and verify, finally, if you are clear, then you want to transfer, you can do it. I am doing now directly transfer to GL. Let's generate the accounts and transfer to GL. Okay. So accounts has been created and transferred to GL, but payment is not done so far. We are supposed to pay the amount for this bill. Amount, save and close. So now we can see that here the invoice has been created and transferred. Let's payment to supplier. We are going to make this payment to the supplier. Navigator, payments. Now we are going to make the check payment, create payment to the supplier. Generally, this will be done by the finance functional consultant, but we must know the cycle and the words at least. Because as a procurement consultant, we must be clear. Okay, so once the order is done and receive the goods, what are the next level process happen in the business? That we must know it. I am mentioning we are going to pay through the checks, and payment process profile is a standard check. We are going to do it. Then it will be payment document here. And then we will find the invoices. Search. Go for save and close. So payment also is done. What's the payment number? This is 3932. The payment number. Let's capture the invoice number. Invoice number is RTL underscore PO underscore invoice. Now the payment number is this. We have to generate the accounts for payment also. Whatever the payment we have done, we need to generate accounts for the payment also. So let's go for payment here. And here we are going to generate the accounts over here. Actions, post to ledger. Now we have done the payment also. Now if we verify our purchase order in procurement, if we go back to purchase order cycle, take this PO number, manage orders, I'm not getting this purchase order result. It is not showing because your purchase order is already closed, because you received the material, you have created invoice, and you made the payment also. Your purchase order has already closed. But here you are telling closed document I don't want. That's why it is not showing the result. Say yes. Last time I did one video for this also in my YouTube channel. You can search that, because that's very simple one. Most of the people says that I created PO and approved, received. After that, my PO is not fine. Purchase order not found. I prepared this video. It was a simple mistake we used to do. It's not mistake actually. It's a no, we'll forget that actually. Say such. So I want to get even the POs which are closed also. Then we will find it. Now I can see the purchase order cycle. See that invoiced. This is your PO number, receipt number, and invoice number. Right. So this is procure to pay. And then if you want to go for verify the accounts in general ledger model and check the accounts, what do you have to do? You need to have the access to GL first. So we have to add the GL role. Then you need to assign the data access. General ledger means we have to assign the ledger data access to the user. Then he will be able to open the GL pages and access the accounts. Tools menu, first go to user. Just now we have done for payables. Same way we'll do it for the GL model. Let's go to the username Calvin route and add the GL roles. General accountant. General accounting. Manage. Then we have to go for provide the data access. Go to financials. As usual, same data access, whatever way we did for earlier. Go to data access and select username and assign the ledger. So we are selecting data access set and assign the ledger. Then LDAP process is common. Now we assigned the GL roles and data access ledger to the user. Now user is going to log in and perform the verification. So it takes some time. If you are getting error, no problem. Already someone has submitted, so we can wait. Even if somebody submitted, no problem. Now go to navigator. As we added GL roles, we can find general ledger menu here. So go to general accounting journals. Now we have to select our ledger here. Search for journal here, manage journals. To choose payables. We transferred accounts from payables module, so select payables. You can find all accounts, like previous accounts and other accounts also will be transferred here. We can find the payments also. This is the payment, 9,600. This is what we did. So this is how we can go for run the entire cycle. So it's better to execute this cycle multiple times with the existing one also when you are not able to do it with your username, so that the entire business cycle comes into our picture. So we'll be able to perform the the transactions and everything here. So let's subscribe this channel to get more information, more knowledge here. This is thank you. Thanks for your time.